welcome to Prepare to Plant Online. I've got my friend Bryan Halferty with us from Tacoma, Washington, Anchor Church. Welcome, Bryan. Recently, you shared a list with me that I really appreciated. The list was 11 imperfect steps to planting a healthy church. And I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on that. I'll share the list on the screen as we go. But one of them that jumped out to me was number 4, train yourself to Sabbath. And I think so many of us, as we're church planting, we're thinking about how to go fast, how to get things done. And yet you have kind of the opposite here, this very counterintuitive, train yourself to Sabbath. What did you have in mind with that?
There's so much to it, right? There's the lens of just being obedient to what God asks of us. And then there's the lens of recognizing the sovereignty of God in a high agency environment. A church planter is in a high agency environment where they're doing. And so to have a counterbalance that actually takes up residence on your calendar that says, no, God is actually sovereign, will save your soul. But it will also save your family life. Like I remember my wife, who were different personality types, before we moved to Tacoma to plant, she said, Bryan, I think I can do this. I think I can do this if. So there's a couple of clauses there. I think I can do this if we have a regular date night, we have a regular family night, and we Sabbath every week. So for me, I heard, I think I can do this. And I didn't hear, Bryan, we have to have these things in place. And so our first 6 or so months, it was a little frenetic and our conversations sometimes were a little tense. But I remember Candace continuing to generously, graciously say, Bryan, we need these things in place for my life, for your life, for our family's life. We need anchor points throughout the week to center us, to realign us. And so those are the 3 reasons. It's obedience for all of us, but especially in a high agency environment where church planners are doing, to have something in their calendar that says, no, God is ultimately sovereign. You don't have to work, you can rest. And then 3rd, it's going to save your family's life, in a really busy season. So
that's really good. One of the other ones that's on that list is love your neighbor. And I know that seems like a no-brainer for us because Jesus said all kinds of things about loving your neighbor, loving him as yourself, loving your enemy even, that they'll know us by our love. But if we're honest, like in the church planting journey, we're kind of like, we love the people that come to our church, and loving your neighbor is a little different than that. So what did you have in mind with that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I came, I was very convinced that the way I treated my neighbors was going to be the model I gave the people that came to Anchor. So it was less about I want them to come to Anchor, though that was incredibly important, still is. I'm praying for that. But it's more of like, I need to be telling stories to the people that are in our church community, in our core team on the early stages, of what it looks like to live on mission. It's so common for people that go to church to not only not love their neighbor, but to not even know their neighbor's names. And this is a basic commandment that Jesus invites us to. Doesn't matter if you're an extrovert or introvert. But so one of the things that our family, we've tried really hard to find creative ways to love our neighbors, to know our neighbors' stories, to serve our neighbors in their love language. And that's irrespective of their belief system, of how late they play their music, or their lifestyle choices. And so I'm thankful that was a commitment for us because it has taken us down some interesting paths. And can I tell you, it's been beautiful to see people that have never seen that as a value for their faith start to not only learn their neighbors' names, but hear their neighbors' stories and then love their neighbor. It's been helpful. I mean, every church planter needs to love their own neighbors.
Yeah, that's so good. And I think that's the starting place, right? It's got to start in the mission field in a sense, and knowing people in a way that leaves a positive impact and we learn their stories. Well, Bryan, thanks so much for sharing this list with us, and thanks for sharing a bit of your journey. For those of you that are watching this, we're happy to be a resource to you and glad that you're signing on to Prepare to Plant Online here.